One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. Most people do not really want freedom because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. It is that we are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love, never so helplessly unhappy as when we have lost our loved object or its love. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. He that has eyes to see and ears to hear may convince himself that no mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips. Betrayal oozes out of him at every pore. Where does a thought go when it's forgotten? A woman should soften but not weaken a man. It is impossible to escape the impression that people commonly use false standards of measurement, that they seek power, success, and wealth for themselves, and admire them in others, and that they underestimate what is of true value in life. In the depths of my heart, I can't help being convinced that my dear fellow men, with a few exceptions, are worthless. Whoever loves becomes humble. Those who love have, so to speak, pawned a part of their narcissism. The madman is a dreamer awake. No, our science is no illusion, but an illusion it would be to suppose that what science cannot give us, we can get elsewhere. Words have a magical power. They can bring either the greatest happiness or deepest despair. They can transfer knowledge from teacher to student. Words enable the orator to sway his audience and dictate its decisions. Words are capable of arousing the strongest emotions and prompting all men's actions. The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. The behavior of a human being in sexual matters is often a prototype for the whole of his other modes of reaction in life. Where the questions of religion are concerned, people are guilty of every possible kind of insincerity and intellectual misdemeanor. Beauty has no obvious use, nor is there any clear cultural necessity for it. Yet civilization could not do without it. My love is something valuable to me which I ought not to throw away without reflection. Men are more moral than they think, and far more immoral than they can imagine. Love and work are the cornerstones of our humanness. The creative writer does the same as the child at play. He creates a world of fantasy which he takes very seriously. What progress we are making! In the Middle Ages, they would have burned me. Now they are content with burning my books. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are legitimately what directs his conduct in the world. When a love relationship is at its height, there is no room left for any interest in the environment. A pair of lovers are sufficient to themselves. How bold one gets when one is sure of being loved. Men are strong so long as they represent a strong idea. They become powerless when they oppose it. A love that does not discriminate seems to me to forfeit a part of its own value by doing an injustice to its object. And secondly, not all men are worthy of love. Instinct of love toward an object demands a mastery to obtain it. And if a person feels they can't control the object or feel threatened by it, they act negatively toward it. It goes without saying that a civilization which leaves so large a number of its participants unsatisfied and drives them into revolt neither has nor deserves the prospect of a lasting existence. It is a predisposition of human nature to consider an unpleasant idea untrue, and then it is easy to find arguments against it. Public self is a conditioned construct of the inner psychological self. Conservatism, however, is too often a welcome excuse for lazy minds, loath to adapt themselves to fast-changing conditions. The dream is the liberation of the spirit from the pressure of external nature, a detachment of the soul from the fetters of matter. Love in the form of longing and deprivation lowers the self-regard. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. The liberty of the individual is no gift of civilization. It was greatest before there was any civilization. Words and magic were in the beginning one and the same thing. and even today words retain much of their magical power. The individual does actually carry on a double existence, one designed to serve his own purposes, and another as a link in a chain in which he serves, against or at any rate without, any volition of his own. Civilized society is perpetually menaced with disintegration through this primary hostility of men towards one another. One thing only do I know for certain, and that is that man's judgments of value follow directly his wishes for happiness, that accordingly they are an attempt to support his illusions with arguments. Time spent with cats is never wasted. We are what we are because we have been what we have been, and what is needed for solving the problems of human life and motives is not moral estimates, but more knowledge. Our memory has no guarantees at all, and yet we bow more often than is objectively justified to the compulsion to believe what it says. Where such men love, they have no desire, and where they desire, they cannot love. It is impossible to overlook the extent to which civilization is built up upon a renunciation of instinct. He who knows how to wait need make no concessions. Nothing that is mentally our own can ever be lost.